Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about pronunciation and spelling by reading a poem that is full of some irregular words. If you guys have any questions on this class or would like to suggest more classes, you can message me at Facebook or on my Verbling profile. I also have open tutoring sessions this week and next, so check out my schedule. I'm going to put the poem in the chat box for you guys, and we'll get started talking about key pronunciation. And I can screen share it for you as well. It's a long one. We probably won't have time for the whole thing today, but we'll get a good piece of it done. And the rest can be homework. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Alessia, welcome to class.
Thank you.
So what are you doing today? Just studying English?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry?
So your plans for the day are to study a bit?
Yeah. With
Excellent.
you?
Awesome. Yes. My plans are to study with you as well. So, Alessia, do you ever have trouble with something in English as far as spelling or pronunciation goes?
Of course.
Like what? What's something that tricks you frequently?
You know, I come from Italy, so some letter, some sound, like sometimes H. I don't use a great emphasis because in Italy we don't have many words with H. So sometimes I listen myself and I see this kind of error, and sometimes there are the words that could sound like in Italy but with different accent, so I have a mistake, and usually it's very difficult to read and give a right link between two words or because sometimes I read and I'm thinking about what I'm reading, the sense about it, and I don't remember to give the right sound.
Well, today we'll be focusing a little on pronunciation as it relates to spelling. And while you were mentioning your issue, I found a tongue twister that might be helpful for you to pronounce as H sounds. Her whole right hand really hurts. I put that in the chat box. So sometimes practicing a little tongue twister like that can really help improve your pronunciation by focusing on that particular sound.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start the poem. I'm going to read the first paragraph and then ask you to read the first paragraph as well.
Okay.
Dearest creature in creation, study English pronunciation. I will teach you in my verse sounds like corpse, core, horse, and worse. I will keep you, Susie, busy, make your head with heat grow dizzy. Tear in eye your dress will tear, so shall I, oh hear my prayer. Okay. Any questions?
No. I try.
Go for it.
In creation, so the English pronunciation. Will we teach you in my verse sound like corpse, corpse, horse, and worse. I will keep you, Susie, busy, make you head with 8 grow dizzy. Terry in I, your dress will tear, so shall I, oh my ear, my prayer.
Okay. So you did a pretty good job with the pronunciation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the spelling and how it relates to this pronunciation. This whole poem is pointing out some of the inconsistencies and irregularities of English. And since we just got a few other students, welcome to class.
Hello?
Hi, Aka. How are you?
Yes, hello. Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So, do you ever have trouble with spelling and pronunciation?
Pardon? Spelling and pronunciation?
Yeah, like you see a word and it's spelled one way, but you're not exactly sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah, a lot in English.
Yeah, it's a pretty troublesome language as far as spelling goes, for sure.
And English
Do you
has
ever
more
have that?
sound.
Huh?
Yeah, English has more sounds than my native language. So
Really?
yeah,
Interesting.
yesterday I noticed F and H difference. My American friend pointed out.
Wow.
I tried to say Yahoo, but he said I say Yahoo.
That's so funny. So that's tough. We do have a lot of sounds, especially vowel sounds, and they're always irregularly spelled.
Yes.
Elisa, welcome to class.
Hi, thank you.
Do you ever have trouble with spelling and pronunciation in English?
Yes, a lot. For this, when I was little and I watched some film, and they have the a competition for spelling. I couldn't understand why, but now yes.
Yeah, it's something a little unique to English because things are so irregular. You can really make a good competition. It's difficult to know how to spell things, for sure. Okay. So today we're reading this poem that I screen shared, and I also put a link in the chat box for you guys, and I'll put it in the Google chat box so that you guys can finish up if we don't finish this poem in class. It's a poem that uses a lot of words that have irregular spellings and pronunciations. For instance, in the paragraph we just read, can anyone see some of the irregular words there? Especially in line 4, we have some irregularities. Anyone want to point them out? So from the very first line, we have horse, and worse. So for some reason, those vowels are pronounced differently, even though the spelling is pretty much the same, aside from the first letter. So that's kind of crazy. What about corpse and core? In the fourth line, it says sounds like corpse, core, horse, and worse. So we talked about horse and worse, but what about corpse and core?
Yeah, it's different. What's the meaning?
Yeah. So corpse is a dead body, not exactly a happy word, but the second word is pronounced without the P and the S. We just say core, and that would be something like a a group of people. For instance, we say the Peace Corps. So it's a group of people who like the army, or a group of people who go army corps. How is this? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it a little better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I hope so. And Natalia, welcome to class.
Thank you.
All right. So what are some other examples in this poem that I will screen share for you guys again? Some other examples we've read in the first stanza, this one here, that compares the vowel spelling and the vowel sound. We talked about line 4 already. Yeah, word verb. You have two different words.
We can't hear.
Can you Um, Ali, welcome to class.
Yes, hello.
All right. So I have been having a little trouble with my voice and connection, but I'm going to screen share the poem again, and we are going to talk about line 5 and line 6. Do you think you could read those 2 lines for us, Ali?
Yeah, sure. I will keep you busy. Make your head with a hair grow dizzy.
Yes.
With a
So,
head grow dizzy.
So what are some inconsistencies here? Some words that are not spelled like they sound.
Busy.
Yeah, busy. Busy is an interesting one. We get a nice comparison with busy and the word busy. They're pronounced the same and spelled very differently. What about the next line, line number 7 here? Aka, can you read that line for us?
Okay, tear in eye, your dress will tear.
So what are we comparing in this line?
Tear and tear is homonyms. Same sound but different meaning.
Actually, it's a little bit different. It's the same spelling, but a different sound and a different meaning. So the best pronunciation would be tear in eye, your dress will tear.
A tear. Okay.
Yeah, I know, it's totally strange. This one is regular because we have that EA making an E sound, similar to line number 1. Dear, creature, and tear have the same vowels and the same pronunciation. But this last one, your dress will tear, has more of an A sound, tear, like care, which would be C-A-R-E. What's the difference in meaning? Can someone give me a definition for the first one, tear in eye?
Tear in eye is a water in eye.
And what about your dress will tear?
This tear is break apart.
Exactly. And the last thing that's interesting from this paragraph is prayer and tear, where we have another interesting comparison between words that rhyme and have very little in common with their spelling. Prayer, we have an A-Y-E-R, and tear, it's T-E-A-R. So they're not alike in spelling, but they are alike in pronunciation. Okay.
Yes, the last one meaning, yeah, sorry. The last one meaning is that make a hole or...
This one, tear?
Yeah, the last one. There.
Yeah, tear can mean to make a rip or a slice in something. You're breaking it apart.
Yeah, yeah. Cut it. Cut it?
Tattered?
Cut your dress, yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly. Hmm.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the first stanza?
No.
Okay, then let's go on to the second one. Do I have any volunteers to try reading the second one?
I.
All right, go for it. You're brave. Try it for us.
Yeah. um, just compare earth, bird, and hurt, dies and died, lord and word, sword and sword, retain and Britain. Mind the letter, how it's written, how it's written. Now I surely will not plague you, sorry, with such words and plague and ague, but be careful how you speak. Say break and stick, but blink and streak, cloven oven, how and low, script, receipt, show, poem, and toe.
Excellent. Thank you. That was an extremely tough stanza. Does anyone else want to try reading it before we discuss it a little more?
Yeah.
All right. You want to, Ali?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Try it out.
Yeah. Just compare hurt, bird, and here. Die and died, Lord and Lord, sword, sword, retain and retain. Mind the letter how it's written. Now I surely will not plague you with such word as a piggy and aggy, but be careful how you speak. Say prick and stick, but plague and shriek, leaven, oven, how and blow. Script, recipe, how, show, poem, and two.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning with this one. They waste no time. They get into a lot of difficulties in even the first line. So what are they comparing in that first line? Just compare heart, beard, and herd. So what's the difference between those three words? Elisa, do you have any ideas?
The sound is very similar.
It's similar. Is it the same?
Heart, bird, heart. I think so.
That's the tricky part because the spelling is the same. And so it seems like the pronunciation should be the same, but it unfortunately is not. So we have three different vowel sounds, all with the same spelling. So we have heart, beard, and herd. So a-e-er, a-e-er. They're all very different vowel sounds, even though they're spelled the same.
The last one is a verb.
Yes, the last one is a verb.
The second one is like the air on a face.
Yeah.
And the heart is what you have in your side, right side.
Yeah, the organ.
Yeah.
Excellent. So they're common words, but they're tricky to pronounce because of their spelling. What about the next line? Dies and diet, Lord and word.
When the first one is when you go away. And the diet is like when you want have a rule with the food.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is It's difficult to
Mm-hmm.
describe. It's someone who have something, and word are the part of these sentences.
Excellent. Wonderful definitions. Now let's compare the pronunciation, starting with the first two, dies and diet. So how are they similar and how are they different?
We read I and E, dies, and die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything else.
So they're similar because they're spelled the same, but are they pronounced the same?
I'm not sure.
Anyone else want to guess here? We have the word dies and diet.
Okay, we add the sound I in diet.
Mm-hmm. So we have a whole extra syllable. The first word is one syllable, dies. And the second word is two, diet. Diet. So they're spelled the same, but again, they're pronounced differently. And how about Aka? What about the pronunciation in the second two words? What's the difference?
Okay. Load and word. First one is or, and second one is are, word.
Exactly. So very different pronunciation, but the same spelling. Difficult, difficult. All right, let's move on to line number 3. Sword, sward, retain, and Britain. How about Ali? Any ideas about those words? About the differences in pronunciation there? Ali, are you there? All right, Ali, I can't hear you. So let me know in the chat box if you are gone for a second. Elisa,
Yeah.
can you compare some of those words for us?
Sword is the throne of the Games of Thrones. They use a lot sword.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
And sword, the second one, I don't know the meaning. Retain and Britain, and so they are really similar, but the meaning is different and also the sound.
What's the difference in the vowel sound with retain and Britain?
Retain and Britain. They're, for me, are completely different. Retain, Britain. The retain are more syllable than Britain.
Exactly. We have a stronger vowel sound.
The first is 3 syllables and the second one is only 2.
Okay, kind of. I guess it depends on the emphasis of your pronunciation. But I think what you're trying to say is that that last syllable is really different. We have A, that long A sound, and then in Britain, we almost cut the vowel out entirely. We totally don't say those AI, which is confusing, really confusing. And in the first two, we have a silent letter in one of them that's not silent in the other. What's the silent letter? Does anybody know?
R?
Not the R. Nope. Anyone want to take a guess at which letter is silent and in which word?
W on sword?
Yeah, The W, exactly. In the first word, sword, we don't say the W. We don't say sword. We say sword. And the second one, sward. So the first one, it's silent. The second one, it is pronounced. Totally crazy stuff. All right, let's move on to this line here. What are some strange things about the spelling in this line? Alessia, any ideas?
Yeah, sure. Thoroughly?
Surely.
Surely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have idea before you read for me. And plug.
Uh-huh. So those two are really irregular. We have surely and plague.
Plague.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I do a wrong and strange accent. Okay.
It's totally natural. It's tough.
Could you read again for me? One
Yeah.
time?
So the whole line is, now I surely will not plague you. So
No, I
surely
surely
and
will
plague.
not plague you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we have plague, which has like a silent UE at the end and a long A sound, and then surely, which just uses an S, but it sounds like an SH. Totally strange. And the next line, Aka, do you have any idea about the next line?
Okay, with such words as plague and argue.
Mm-hmm. So that would be plaque and ague.
Plaque and argue.
Mhm.
Plaque and argue. Argue. This part is different.
Yeah, very different. It rhymes with the word you, right? But the letters are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And just because these are not particularly common words, ague is a kind of fever, and plaque is when you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, your teeth have this like fuzzy thing on them, and it's like your teeth are dirty until you brush your teeth, right? That's plaque.
Yeah.
So they're kind of funny words that maybe aren't all that common, but they're bringing them up because you can compare them to other words and see how strangely they're spelled. Okay. And the next line that's pretty interesting is this one here. Say break and stake, but bleak and streak. What do you guys think? Anyone want to describe the difference between those words? Break, stake, bleak, streak. Ali, are you there? Okay, how about Elisa then? Tell us what's the difference between break, stake, and bleak, streak.
Break is a break.
Mm-hmm.
Stick is the myth, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Break, I'm not sure. Streak is when the worker are not working and they decide not to work for the.
Oh, a strike?
Yeah.
So a strike is something a little bit different than a streak. A streak would be like a line of something, but a strike is, again, spelled differently, and it has a slightly different pronunciation. I'll put that one in the chat box for you. Strike. Okay, so break, stake, bleak, streak. And Elisa, what's the pronunciation difference between these words?
The vowel.
Mm-hmm.
Break is open.
Uh-huh.
Streak is close.
Yeah, it is a little more closed. So that break is a little wider, more of an A sound. And the other two are like a long E sound. Mm-hmm. All right, next line. We have cloven oven, how, and low. Alessia, can you give us the pronunciation differences between those words?
The first cloven, the O is closed.
Okay.
Second one, oven is open, I think. It's so long. How, you read it with another sound. It's not O. And low is O with a point of view.
Yeah, so we use O in a lot of different ways in this line. It's kind of affected by some of the other words. We have cloven, which is like a really O sound, and then we have oven, which is a little more open and more of a U sound almost. Then we have how and low. So low kind of has the same sound as cloven, but how is totally different. It's much more open than the other ones. And the last line, Aka, would you like to tell us a little bit about the words script, receipt, show, poem, and toe? Aka, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Tell us about that line. Script, receipt,
Okay.
show, poem, and toe.
Yes. Script, receipt, show, poem, and toe. Receipt is P is silent. Receipt, probably. And show, poem, and toe. Toe. The toe is somewhat strange for me. Toe.
And why is it strange?
O-E pronounce O. Maybe O pronounce O. Yeah.
Okay. So you hit on several things. In script, we pronounce the P, and in receipt, spelled the same, but we don't pronounce the P. Then toe, which is strange because it's the O-E, but it just makes an O sound. And then in the word poem, we have the same two vowels, but we do pronounce both. So that's two syllables, poem. But it's not toe, it's just toe, right?
Yeah.
And we have show, which sounds like toe, but is spelled with a W.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have the word shoe as well. This isn't in the poem, but it's just an interesting comparison to make. I'll put the word shoe in the chat box. So shoe is spelled like toe, but pronounced like a U sound. And if we compare that to the word show, it's pretty funny. The large difference between show and shoe. All right. Any other questions or comments on the second paragraph that we just talked about?
So show, not show, show. W is silent.
It's not exactly silent, but it affects the vowel sound. So if we're comparing the words, we would say show and shoe. Show, shoe.
Show, shoe. Okay.
Any other questions about that second paragraph?
Do you have a registration for all the poem?
The what? The registration?
Yeah.
You mean like the link?
Not the link, because with the voice. So we can...
Oh, you want an audio recording of the poem?
Yes.
Good question. That I do not have, but if you guys like, before we finish class today, I can read the whole poem, and then you guys can look back at it later. Because these classes are recorded and they're put on my profile. So if you guys wanted to listen to it later, you could just go back and look at the recording. Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll do that.
Thanks.
And let's see. How about let's move on and talk a little bit about paragraph number 3 here. Does anyone want to try reading it first? It's similarly to the last one. It's very difficult. Anyone brave enough to try it out?
Okay, may I?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hear me say, devoid of trickery, daughter, laughter, and ta- 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 tarsi- Topscore, typhoid, measles, topsail, aisles, exiles, smiles, and reveals, scholar, biker, and seeger, solar, Micah, war, and far. One old anemone, Balmoral, kitchen, lichen, laundry, laurel, Gertrude, German, wind, and mind, sheen, melpomem, mankind.
Excellent job. Very nicely done, Aka. Anyone else want to give it a try?
Yeah, because it's very strange. I don't know alpha of these words, so I try. Hear me say, devoid of trickery, daughter, laughter, and therapist cork, typhoid, measles, topsails, aceless, exiles, smiles, and reviles, scholar, vicar, and seeger, solar, Micah, war, and far, one anemone, Balmoral, kitchen, lichen, laundry, laurel, Gertrude, German, wind and mind, sin, no, it's sin, melpomene, mankind.
Okay, excellent job.
I never heard melpomene and TCRP as ICHORC.
Those are some tough
Yeah.
ones. And in the second line, let's see. Let me highlight this for a second. Those two are actually supposed to be E's. There we go. It was the font was the problem. They're supposed to be E's. Okay. Excellent job, guys. Any other attempts at reading this? Elisa, are you interested?
No, it's too difficult.
Okay. So I'll read it for you guys once, and then we'll talk about the spelling and the pronunciation of it. Hear me say, devoid of trickery, daughter, laughter, and terpsichore, typhoid, measles, topsails, aisles, exiles, similes, and reviles, scholar, vicar, and cigar, solar, Micah, war, and far, one anemone, Balmoral, kitchen, lichen, laundry, laurel, Gertrude, German, wind, and mind, scene, melpomene, and mankind.
Okay, it's very different. Like I have a read. Yeah.
So the point of this poem is to trick us, and they do a great job. Let's talk about the first line. Hear me say, devoid of trickery, daughter, laughter, and terpsichore. So can anyone point out some of the words that they're using for comparison here?
Daughter.
What's a trickery? and terpsichore means. Trickery is like something tricky.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And Terpsichore was a muse. She was like a Greek muse, I believe.
Okay.
So that would be a name.
Like for inspiration?
Uh-huh.
Could be. Okay.
Exactly. And then what about daughter and laughter? What are they pointing out to us in that comparison?
O and A, la, do, la.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So we have, first off, the spelling of those words is totally crazy because we have a silent GH in both of them. But on top of that, they're spelled the same and pronounced differently once again. So we have daughter and laughter. We have ah and ah. Very different vowel sounds.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Is there a rule for to understand when, for example, in this case, AU became have a different sound? For example, before a consonant, or I don't know.
Nope. Unfortunately, like many things in English, there is not really a rule of these irregular pronunciations. So it's something that you have to be very aware as a student and practice and listen a lot. But there's not really a good trick that you can use to remember other than, memorizing or maybe using them in a song. Another combination that can be tough is things like cough and enough and through, because we have the same O-U-G-H, but it's a totally different vowel sound. We have and oo. Oo. So, there's no rule and everything is irregular and difficult, is basically the lesson we learned from this poem.
Nowadays, online dictionary which has sound is pretty useful to check the exact pronunciation.
Yes, definitely. So your options would be to Google Translate something because Google offers pronunciation as well. Or, of course, in a good dictionary, you can find the pronunciation. The only problem is you have to be able to read IPA. Do you guys know what IPA is?
Yes.
No.
What is it, Aka? Do you know?
I think it's a kind of the universal phonetic sign.
Yes, it's the International Phonetic Alphabet. So that would be letters that have representation of pronunciation, and they can use all of the sounds in the world. All of the sounds are represented by this alphabet, but most people have never heard of it and don't know how to use it. So the good thing is that it's helpful for pronunciation, but the bad thing is that if you don't know how to use it, it's really no help at all. And I'm going to screen share a picture of it really quick just so you guys can see this because I think it's interesting. Okay, so this is IPA. They have the symbols and they'll tell you information about it. So for instance, bilabial would mean two lips, right? And then they have different categories, like a plosive would be something that has force, buh. It's kind of like this little explosion. You have nasal, which is more something you do with your nose, like M. And then you have a sound like this capital B. I'm going to make this sound, but it's going to sound, I'm going to try anyways. It's very difficult for me to make this sound. It sounds like this. That's the sound. So it sounds, well, it's definitely not used in English, that sound, but it's a bilabial trill, so you make your lips go like.
Okay, I have used this kind of
Really?
yeah in my past.
So,
I don't know that the name
uh,
is IPI. Yeah?
so
IPA.
check,
IPA. But
check,
I used in the past with another teacher with the lesson 1-1, and sometimes
Very.
he give me a test only this kind of alphabet with sounds.
so
Excellent.
And
check this.
I have to read only with it's very difficult exercise. Yeah.
Uh, Check this link so you can click on the symbol. You can listen to the exact sound of the this alphabet. It's pretty useful.
Excellent. What a wonderful link. Thank you, Aka. So if you want to become more informed about the phonetic alphabet, that's where to
Oh,
go. And once you know them, you can look up the pronunciation in a dictionary.
beautiful, Aka.
You're welcome.
Very
Thank you.
nice. All right. So I believe we've done 3 paragraphs now, or we didn't finish the third one. Let's finish talking about the third one before we finish up today. So we talked about the first 2 lines. Let's talk about the second 2 lines. We have typhoid, measles, topsails, aisles, exiles, similes, and reviles. What do you guys notice about the spelling and the pronunciation of those 2 lines?
Iris is S is silent. Iris.
Yeah, that first S is silent. What
Are
else?
all he? Are all there are in all the sound e? Typhoid, meals, topsail is.
So we have some similar sounds, but not all are exactly the same. We have typhoid, measles, topsails, and aisles.
It's a different. For example, in typhoid, you have a short sound of I,
Uh-huh.
and in the measles, could you read again?
Typhoid, measles.
Measle. Measle is a long I.
Mm-hmm.
Topsails is like an E with A. With the E.
Awesome. That's a pretty good point. And if you look at the word typhoid and exile, you can see that one is spelled with a Y, one with an I, but it's the same sound. What about the word similes? Similes.
E it sounds like a long E. Leaves.
Mm-hmm.
It means like in Italy when you look like someone.
When you look like someone, so it reminds you of an Italian word?
Simile.
Uh-huh.
I tried to look in Google Translate.
A simile is when you compare things. It's a literary term for when you say,
It's the same. It's like the same.
Yeah, so I might say, my sister is just like a cat. She's...
Okay. Similes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simile.
Okay.
Okay. So let's pronounce this quickly before finishing up today. I'll read the whole thing. Well, I'll read 4 paragraphs. That way we can each have a turn. And then each of you can try as well to pronounce these paragraphs yourself.
Okay.
So starting from the beginning. Dearest creature in creation, study English pronunciation. I will teach you in my verse sounds like corpse, core, horse, and worse. I will keep you, Susie, busy make your head with heat grow dizzy. Tear in eye your dress will tear, so shall I, oh hear my prayer. Just compare heart, beard, and herd, dyes and diet, lord and word, sword and sward, retain and Britain, mind the latter, how it's written. Now I surely will not plague you with such words as plaque and ague. But be careful how you speak. Say break and stake, but bleak and streak. Cloven, oven, how and low. Script, receipt, show, poem, and toe. Hear me say, devoid of trickery, daughter, laughter, and terpsichore. Typhoid, measles, topsails, isles, exiles, similes, and reviles. Scholar, vicar, and cigar. Solar, mica, war, and far. One anemone, balmoral. Kitchen, lichen, laundry, laurel. Gertrude, German, wind and mind. Scene, Melpomene, mankind. Billet does not rhyme with ballet. Bouquet, wallet, mallet, chalet. Blood and flood are not like food, nor is mold like should and would. Viscous, viscount, load and broad. Toward, to forward, to reward. And your pronunciation's okay when you correctly say croquet. Rounded, wounded, grieve and sieve, friend and fiend, alive and live. So I read the first 4 paragraphs there, and we are just about out of time for today. So does anyone really, really want to try it for us all together?
I don't have confidence. No, thank you.
Well, you guys are welcome to practice, and if you really perfect it, you can bring it to us in another class. Any last questions or comments before we finish up?
No, thanks.
All right, thanks guys. See you again soon.
Thank you. See you.
Bye. Thank you.